The hotel room was bathed in dim, golden light, a stark contrast to the chaos that was about to unfold. The night had been nothing short of reckless, a whirlwind of passion and desire. My lover, Mason, and I had been caught in the throes of our affair, losing ourselves in each other. Just as our bodies began to meld into one, a voice cut through the air, chilling me to the bone. In 2 minutes, get ready to lose everything. My heart nearly stopped. I sat up, my breath catching in my throat. Mason's eyes were wide with confusion and fear. "What the hell was that?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. I shook my head, frantically searching the room with my eyes. "I don't know, it sounded like..." I couldn't finish the sentence. The voice was unmistakable. It was my husband's. We both scrambled to our feet, scanning the room for any signs of a hidden speaker or a device that could have projected his voice. The eerie nature of the disembodied message had us on edge, every nerve in our bodies electrified with fear and adrenaline. Suddenly, a sharp knock at the door made us both jump. Mason exchanged a panicked glance with me before cautiously approaching the door. He hesitated, then opened it a crack. Outside stood a delivery guy, holding a large gift box wrapped in shiny, red paper. "This is from your husband," the delivery guy said, smiling as if he was delivering nothing more than a birthday gift. Mason's hands shook as he took the box. He turned to me, his face a mask of dread. "What should we do?" he asked, his voice trembling. "We have to open it," I replied, though my own voice was just as unsteady. We placed the box on the bed and stared at it, neither of us daring to make the first move. The voice of my husband echoed in my mind again. In 2 minutes, Mason finally mustered the courage to tear off the wrapping paper. The sight of what lay inside made his face turn ashen. He staggered back, tripping over his feet in his haste to distance himself from the box. "What is it?" I demanded, stepping forward to look for myself. Inside the box was a small, live snake, coiled tightly around a flash drive. The snake hissed, its tongue flickering ominously. "Oh my God," I whispered, feeling a wave of nausea wash over me. I grabbed a towel from the bathroom, used it to carefully remove the snake, and then took out the flash drive. Mason had already bolted, his terror evident in the sound of his retreating footsteps. I stood alone in the room, my heart pounding as I plugged the flash drive into my laptop. A single video file appeared on the screen. I clicked play, my hands shaking so badly I nearly missed the button. My husband appeared on the screen, sitting in our living room. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with an intensity one had never seen before. "I know everything," he began, his voice steady and unyielding. "You've betrayed me, and now you'll face the consequences." The video cut to footage of our house. Every room was wired with hidden cameras, capturing intimate moments between Mason and me. I felt a chill run down my spine as I watched our secret life play out on the screen. My husband had been watching us all along. "This is just the beginning," my husband's voice continued. "In 2 minutes, the world will know what you've done." Panic surged through me. I tried to call him, but my phone was dead. I rushed to the hotel room door, only to find it locked from the outside. I banged on it, screaming for help, but my cries went unanswered. Suddenly, my laptop pinged. An email notification popped up on the screen. It was from my husband, sent to everyone in our contacts list. The subject line read, "The Truth." With a sinking feeling, I clicked on it. Inside were all the videos, pictures, and messages of my affair, laid bare for everyone to see. My friends, family, and colleagues all would now know the depths of my betrayal. As the weight of what I had done crashed down on me, I realized the true extent of my husband's revenge. He had destroyed my reputation, my relationships, my life, all in a matter of minutes, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. The room seemed to close in around me. My husband's voice, echoing through the room, had been the harbinger of my downfall. Now, I was left alone in the hotel room, the evidence of my betrayal on full display, and the knowledge that my life would never be the same again. My hands trembled as I held the flash drive, my mind racing with a million thoughts. With a deep breath, I steadied myself and inserted it into my laptop. Almost immediately, a single video file popped up on the screen. My heart pounded as I clicked play. The screen lit up with the familiar sight of our living room. My husband sat in the center of the frame, his posture relaxed, but his eyes burned with a fierce intensity. "I know everything," he began, his voice eerily calm. "You've betrayed me, and now you'll face the consequences." I felt a wave of nausea as the screen shifted. The view changed to footage of our house, revealing hidden cameras in every room. I watched in horror as private, intimate moments between Mason and me played out on the screen. Every stolen kiss, every whispered promise, all captured without our knowledge. My husband's betrayal was far more calculated and invasive than I had ever imagined. How long has he known? I whispered to myself, my voice trembling. The sheer amount of footage suggested he had been watching for months, maybe even longer. I felt violated, my privacy shattered by the person I had once trusted the most. The video continued, showing clips of Mason and me in various rooms of the house. We were in the kitchen, laughing and cooking dinner together. We were in the bedroom, wrapped in each other's arms. Each scene was a dagger to my heart, a reminder of my infidelity and the price I was about to pay. My husband's voiceover resumed, cutting through my thoughts. "I hope it was worth it," he said, his tone icy, "because now everyone will know the truth." A wave of panic surged through me. I tried to think of a way to stop him, to prevent the video from being sent. Frantically, I checked my phone again, but it was still dead. Desperation clawed at me as I realized I had no way to contact him. The video ended with a final message. "This is just the beginning. In 2 minutes, the world will know what you've done." "No, no, no," I muttered, pacing the room. I had to find a way out of this nightmare. Suddenly, a thought struck me. I grabbed my laptop and opened my email, praying I wasn't too late. But as soon as I logged in, a notification appeared. An email from my husband, sent to everyone in our contacts list. The subject line read, "The truth." My stomach dropped. With shaking hands, I opened the email. There it was, all the videos, pictures, and messages of my affair, laid bare for everyone to see. I could already imagine the reactions of my friends, family, and colleagues. The shame and humiliation would be unbearable. As the enormity of the situation hit me, I felt a surge of anger. How could he do this to me? I had made mistakes, yes, but this was beyond cruel. My husband had not only betrayed me, but he had also orchestrated a plan to ruin my life completely. Desperate to salvage what little I could, I began composing an email to my closest friends and family, trying to explain my side of the story. But every word felt hollow and inadequate. How could I justify my actions when the evidence was so damning? In the midst of my frantic typing, another notification popped up. This time, it was a reply from my sister. My heart sank as I opened it. "How could you do this? I trusted you. We all did. Don't ever contact me again." Tears blurred my vision as I read her words. One by one, more replies came in, each one a painful reminder of the damage my actions had caused. The fallout was swift and brutal. Friends I had known for years cut ties with me, my parents expressed their deep disappointment, and my boss called to inform me that my behavior was unacceptable and I was no longer welcome at my job. I collapsed onto the bed, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of my husband's revenge. He had succeeded in destroying everything I held dear. My reputation, my relationships, my career, all shattered in an instant. As I lay there, a thought began to form in my mind. My husband had planned this meticulously, but there had to be a way to fight back. I couldn't just let him win. I had to find a way to reclaim my life, to rise from the ashes of this disaster. Wiping away my tears, I sat up and took a deep breath. The path ahead would be difficult, but I was determined to face it head-on. My husband's revenge had pushed me to the brink, but it had also ignited a fire within me. I would find a way to survive this, and I would make sure that my husband would never have the satisfaction of seeing me completely broken. The fight for my life, my dignity, and my future had only just begun. The video concluded with the ominous message, "This is just the beginning. In 2 minutes, the world will know what you've done." The finality of those words struck me like a physical blow. I could almost hear the countdown ticking away in my head, each second a step closer to my complete ruination. Panic took hold. I grabbed my phone, desperately trying to call my husband. Please, please work, I whispered, my hands shaking as I pressed the power button. The screen remained black. My phone was dead. I felt a wave of helplessness wash over me. How could I stop this? What could I do? I ran to the hotel room door, pulling at the handle. It didn't budge. It was locked from the outside. Help! Somebody help me! I screamed, banging on the door with all my strength. The only response was the echo of my own voice in the empty hallway outside. I turned back to my laptop, my mind racing. There had to be a way to stop this. I paced the room, racking my brain for a solution. An idea struck me. If I could get to another phone, I might be able to contact someone who could help. But how could I get out of the room? I scanned the room, looking for anything that might help. The windows were sealed shut, and there was no way to break them without making a lot of noise and drawing attention. My eyes landed on the bedside phone. It was an old model, but it might still work. I picked up the receiver and dialed the front desk. Hello? Can you send someone up? I'm locked in my room, and I need to get out immediately. I pleaded, my voice frantic. There was a moment of silence before the receptionist answered. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but all our staff are currently occupied. It will be a few minutes before someone can assist you. A few minutes? No, you don't understand. This is an emergency. I shouted, but the line had already gone dead. Frustration and fear surged through me. I glanced at the clock on my laptop. Time was running out. I had to think of something else. I returned to the door and resumed banging, screaming at the top of my lungs. Please, someone, help me. Just as I was about to give up hope, I heard footsteps approaching. My heart leapt. Over here. I'm locked in. I called out, my voice hoarse from shouting. A muffled voice came through the door. Ma'am, step back. We're going to unlock the door. I moved away from the door, holding my breath. The sound of the lock clicking open was the sweetest sound I had ever heard. The door swung open, revealing a concerned hotel staff member. Are you all right, ma'am? No, I need to get out of here now, I said, pushing past him. I need to make a call. It's urgent. The staff member looked confused but didn't stop me. I dashed down the hallway to the lobby, my mind focused on finding a phone. I spotted a payphone near the entrance and ran to it, fumbling for coins. As I dialed my husband's number, my hands trembled. The phone rang and rang, but there was no answer. Come on, pick up, I muttered under my breath. When the call went to voicemail, I felt a fresh wave of despair. I dialed again, this time calling my best friend, Sarah. She answered on the third ring. Hello? Sarah, it's me, I said, my voice shaking. I need your help. Now. What's going on? You sound awful, Sarah replied, concern evident in her voice. It's a long story, but my husband has done something terrible. He's about to send out a video exposing my affair. I need you to stop him. Please, Sarah. Okay, calm down. Do you know where he is? Sarah asked. I think he's at home. Can you get there and try to stop him? I pleaded, my voice breaking. I'm on my way, she said firmly. Hang in there. I'll do everything I can. I hung up the phone and sank to the floor, tears streaming down my face. The clock was ticking, and I had no idea if Sarah would reach him in time. Every second felt like an eternity. Just then, my laptop pinged with a new email notification. My heart sank as I read the subject line, The Truth. It was from my husband, sent to everyone in our contacts list. The videos, pictures, and messages of my affair were now out in the open. My worst fears had come true. The damage was done. The fallout would be swift and brutal. Friends, family, colleagues, everyone would know. My life was about to be torn apart. I sat there in the hotel lobby, feeling utterly defeated. The world around me seemed to blur as the weight of my husband's revenge crashed down on me. He had succeeded in destroying everything I held dear. My reputation, my relationships, my career, all shattered in an instant. As I tried to gather my thoughts, my phone rang. It was Sarah. I'm at your house, she said, out of breath. Your husband is gone. I found a note. It says, it's too late. The world knows. I'm so sorry. I closed my eyes, feeling the full impact of those words. My husband's plan had been executed flawlessly. There was no going back. I had lost everything. "Thank you for trying, Sarah," I whispered, my voice hollow. "I don't know what to do now." "Come to my place," she offered gently. "We'll figure it out together. You don't have to go through this alone." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Okay, I'll be there soon." As I made my way out of the hotel, I realized that my life had been irrevocably changed. My husband's revenge had been swift and devastating, but Sarah's words gave me a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, I could find a way to rebuild. The countdown had ended, but my fight to reclaim my life was just beginning. Suddenly, my laptop pinged, jolting me from my thoughts. I glanced at the screen and saw an email notification. It was from my husband, and the subject line read, "The truth." My heart dropped. With trembling fingers, I clicked on the email. As it opened, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Inside were all the videos, pictures, and messages of my affair, laid bare for everyone to see. Each attachment was a reminder of my betrayal, meticulously compiled and sent to every single person in our contacts list. "No," I whispered, horrified. My hands shook as I scrolled through the email, each new attachment worsening the ache in my chest. My phone began buzzing incessantly with incoming calls and messages. I ignored them, too paralyzed by fear and shame to respond. Just then, a call came through from my best friend, Sarah. I hesitated but knew I had to answer. "Hello?" I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Laura, what the hell is going on?" Sarah's voice was a mix of shock and concern. "I just got this email from your husband. Are you okay?" I don't know," I stammered, trying to hold back tears. "He found out about the affair and sent everything to everyone." "My life is over, Sarah. Calm down," she urged. "Where are you? Are you safe?" "I'm at a hotel," I replied, my voice trembling. "But I don't feel safe. I don't know what to do." "Stay put. I'm coming to get you," she said firmly. "We'll figure this out together." "Okay," I agreed, feeling a small sense of relief. "Thank you." After hanging up, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my laptop. The screen still displayed the damning evidence of my infidelity. My phone buzzed with more notifications, each one a reminder of the impending fallout. Friends, family, colleagues, everyone would know. The shame was overwhelming. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Sarah standing there, her face a mixture of sympathy and determination. "Come on," she said, pulling me into a hug. "Let's get you out of here." We drove in silence to her apartment, my mind racing with thoughts of what awaited me. The inevitable conversations, the judgmental looks, the loss of everything I held dear. Sarah tried to make small talk, but I was too numb to respond. Once we arrived, Sarah guided me to the couch and handed me a cup of tea. "Okay, let's take a deep breath," she said, sitting across from me. "We need to come up with a plan." "I don't know where to start," I admitted, my voice breaking. "Everyone knows, Sarah. My parents, my friends, my coworkers. I've ruined everything." "We'll take it one step at a time," she reassured me. "First, you need to talk to your parents. They deserve to hear the truth from you, not just through that email." "I don't think I can face them," I said, tears streaming down my face. "How do I even begin to explain this?" "You tell them the truth," Sarah replied gently. "Admit your mistakes, apologize, and show them that you're willing to make amends. It's not going to be easy, but it's the first step." Taking a deep breath, I nodded. "Okay, I'll call them." I picked up my phone, my hands still shaking. Dialing my parents' number felt like an insurmountable task, but I knew I had to do it. The phone rang a few times before my mother answered. "Hello?" "Mom, it's me," I said, my voice trembling. "I need to talk to you and Dad. It's important." There was a long pause before she replied. "We saw the email, Laura. Your father and I are devastated." "I know," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "I'm so sorry. I made a terrible mistake, and I don't know how to make it right." "You need to come home," she said, her voice stern but laced with sorrow. "We need to talk about this in person." "I understand," I replied, my heart heavy. I'll be there soon. Hanging up, I turned to Sarah. They want me to come home. I have to face them. I'll drive you, she said immediately. You shouldn't be alone right now. The drive to my parents' house felt like an eternity. Sarah held my hand, offering silent support as I prepared for the most difficult conversation of my life. When we arrived, my parents were waiting in the living room, their faces etched with hurt and disappointment. Laura, my father began, his voice breaking. How could you do this to us? To your husband? I don't know what to say, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. I made a terrible mistake. I never wanted to hurt anyone. We raised you better than this, my mother said, tears in her eyes. Your actions have consequences, Laura. This is going to affect all of us. I know, I said, guilt washing over me. I'm so sorry. I wish I could take it all back. You can't, my father replied, his voice harsh. You need to figure out how to move forward. Your husband, how could he do this? This is beyond cruel. I think he was just hurt, I said, trying to justify his actions. He wanted to hurt me back. And now everyone knows, my mother said, shaking her head. This is going to be a long road, Laura. I know, I said again, feeling the weight of their disappointment. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. We'll support you, my father said, his voice softening slightly. But you need to understand that trust is not easily rebuilt. I do, I replied, tears streaming down my face. Thank you for not giving up on me. The conversation was far from over, but the initial confrontation had been the hardest part. I knew I had a long way to go, but having my parents' support gave me a glimmer of hope. Sarah drove me back to her apartment, her presence a constant source of comfort. You did well, she said, squeezing my hand. One step at a time. I don't know how I'm going to face everyone else, I admitted, the weight of my actions still pressing heavily on my shoulders. You'll take it day by day, she replied. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. The days that followed were filled with difficult conversations and emotional confrontations. I reached out to friends and colleagues, admitting my mistakes and apologizing for the hurt I had caused. Some were more forgiving than others, but each conversation was a step towards healing. My husband, however, remained unreachable. He had disappeared, leaving only the devastation of his actions behind. I didn't know where he was or if I would ever see him again. The uncertainty was a constant ache, a reminder of the life I had shattered. Throughout it all, Sarah remained by my side. Her unwavering support was a lifeline, pulling me back from the brink of despair. You're stronger than you think, she would remind me, her words a beacon of hope in the darkness. One evening, as we sat together, Sarah turned to me. Have you thought about therapy? It might help you process everything and find a way to move forward. I have, I admitted. I think it's a good idea. Good, she said, smiling. I'll help you find someone. This is a fresh start, Laura. You have a chance to rebuild your life. As I looked at my best friend, I felt a renewed sense of determination. The truth was out, and my life was in pieces, but I was still here. I had made terrible mistakes, but I was ready to face the consequences and rebuild. The road ahead would be long and difficult, but I wasn't alone. With Sarah by my side and the support of my family, I knew I could find a way to move forward. The truth had been a devastating blow, but it had also been a wake-up call. It was time to start over, one step at a time. As the realization of my actions settled in, I began to grasp the full impact of my husband's retaliation. He had dismantled my reputation, strained my relationships, and upheaved my life, all within moments. Sitting in Sarah's apartment, I scrolled through the messages flooding my phone. Each notification felt like another blow, a reminder of the trust one had shattered and the hurt I had caused. Sarah sat across from me, her presence a steady anchor amidst the storm. I don't know how to fix this, I admitted, tears welling up again. He's made sure everyone knows. Sarah reached out and squeezed my hand. It's going to take time, she said softly. You can't undo what's been done, but you can work towards making things right. But how? I whispered, feeling overwhelmed by the enormity of the situation. I've lost so much. You start by facing the consequences, Sarah replied gently. You talk to the people you've hurt. You apologize, sincerely and without excuses. And then, you take steps to rebuild trust. I don't even know where to begin, I confessed, wiping away tears. Everyone sees me differently now. How do I make them understand? You can't force anyone to forgive you, Sarah said, her voice filled with empathy. All you can do is show them that you're genuinely sorry and willing to change. That night, I drafted emails and made phone calls, each conversation a mix of humility and remorse. Some responses were harsh, filled with anger and disappointment. Others offered tentative forgiveness, a glimmer of hope amidst the wreckage. Days turned into weeks as I navigated the fallout of my actions. I attended therapy sessions, seeking guidance on how to process my guilt and rebuild my life. Each session was a step towards understanding the deeper reasons behind my choices and finding a path towards healing. One afternoon, Sarah handed me a letter that had arrived in the mail. I opened it cautiously, unsure of what to expect. Inside was a handwritten note from my husband. Laura, it read, I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive you for what you've done, but I hope one day you'll find a way to forgive yourself. Tears welled up as I read his words. Despite everything, he still cared enough to reach out, even if it was to express his pain. It was a small gesture, but it gave me a sliver of hope. As time passed, I began to rebuild. I volunteered at a local charity, hoping to make amends through actions rather than words. I focused on rebuilding trust with those who had stood by me, showing them through consistent effort that I was committed to change. One evening, Sarah and I sat on her balcony, sipping tea as the sun set. You've come a long way, she remarked, smiling warmly at me. It hasn't been easy, I admitted, but I'm trying. And that's all anyone can ask, she replied. You're learning from your mistakes and taking responsibility. That's more than many people would do. I nodded, feeling a sense of pride in how far I had come. The road ahead was still uncertain, but I was no longer paralyzed by guilt and shame. I had faced the consequences of my actions and was determined to emerge stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The truth had shattered my world, but it had also given me an opportunity to rebuild it on a foundation of honesty and humility. With each day that passed, I found new strength in facing my mistakes and working towards a better future, one step at a time. Feeling desperate, I finally persuaded the hotel staff to unlock the door. My heart raced as I hurried home, anxious to speak with my husband. When I arrived, he greeted me calmly, his demeanor composed and collected. We need to talk, I said, trying to keep my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. He nodded silently, gesturing for me to sit down. As we faced each other, tension hung heavy in the air. I know about your relationship, he said quietly, his expression pained. I've known for a while now. My stomach tightened as his words sank in. How long? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. A few months, he replied, his gaze steady. I discovered it by accident. I swallowed hard, trying to find the right words. I never meant to hurt you, I began, but he held up a hand to stop me. I know you didn't intend to, he said, his tone a mix of sadness and resignation. But it doesn't change what happened. I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. I want to explain, I said earnestly. It's not as simple as it seems. He listened quietly as I spoke, recounting the moments that led to my actions. I tried to convey the emotions that had clouded my judgment, the loneliness and confusion that had driven me to seek solace elsewhere. When I finished, there was a long silence between us. He sat deep in thought, his expression unreadable. I understand, he finally said, his voice gentle yet firm, but it doesn't erase the hurt. Tears welled up in my eyes as I reached out to touch his hand. I'm so sorry, I whispered, the weight of my betrayal heavy on my heart. He sighed, his hand tightening around mine. I need time, he said quietly, time to process everything. I understand, I replied, my voice thick with emotion. I'll give you all the time you need. We sat together in silence, each lost in our own thoughts. The air between us felt heavy with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. After a while, he spoke again, his voice softer now. "I still love you," he said quietly, "but I don't know how we move forward from this." I nodded, tears streaming down my face. "I love you too," I whispered, feeling a glimmer of hope amidst the pain. "We'll figure it out," he said, squeezing my hand gently. "Together." And in that moment, despite the uncertainty ahead, I felt a flicker of hope that we could find a way to heal and rebuild our relationship, one honest conversation at a time. The following days blurred into a nightmare. My family distanced themselves, friends slowly withdrew, and the professional fallout became undeniable. The scandal cost me my job and my marriage. Once a pillar of stability, began to unravel as my husband initiated divorce proceedings. Financially, I faced daunting challenges ahead. Navigating through the aftermath was like walking through a fog of uncertainty. Each day brought new challenges and painful realizations. Conversations with my family were strained, their disappointment palpable yet unspoken. Friends I had relied on for support now kept their distance, unsure how to engage with the person I had become. In the midst of this turmoil, I sought solace in therapy. My therapist provided a safe space to unpack the layers of guilt, shame, and regret that weighed heavily on my shoulders. "You're facing a major life transition," she explained, her voice a steady anchor amidst the storm. "It's important to process these emotions and find a way forward." With her guidance, I began to confront the repercussions of my actions head-on. Each session was a step towards understanding the deeper motivations behind my choices and learning to forgive myself. Forgiveness isn't just about others, my therapist reminded me. It's also about accepting yourself and allowing room for growth. Despite the challenges, there were moments of clarity and small victories. I focused on rebuilding my life one piece at a time. Job hunting became a daily routine, each rejection letter a reminder of the uphill battle ahead. Yet, with determination fueled by necessity, I persisted. One afternoon, as I scrolled through job postings, a familiar email notification interrupted my search. It was from my former colleague, Kate. "Hey Laura," the email began. "I heard about what happened. I'm sorry things turned out this way. If you need someone to talk to or any help with job leads, let me know." Tears welled up as I read her message. Despite the fallout, there were still people who cared, willing to offer support without judgment. I replied with gratitude, accepting her offer to meet for coffee later that week. Meeting Kate was a turning point. Over coffee, she listened empathetically as I shared my struggles and aspirations. "You're resilient," she said sincerely. "This setback doesn't define you. You have skills and experience that are valuable." Her words echoed in my mind as I reflected on my journey. Yes, I had made mistakes and faced consequences, but I was determined to rebuild with integrity and resilience. Kate's encouragement ignited a spark of hope within me, a belief that despite the challenges, I could carve out a new path forward. Days turned into weeks, and I began to regain a sense of stability. Through networking events and personal connections, I explored new career opportunities. Each interview was a chance to present my skills and demonstrate my commitment to moving forward. Meanwhile, conversations with my husband remained strained and infrequent. He was focused on finalizing the divorce proceedings, and I respected his need for space. "We both need time to heal," he had said during our last meeting, his tone somber yet resigned. I respected his decision, knowing that healing would take time for both of us. The dissolution of our marriage was painful, but in its wake, I found a renewed sense of independence and self-discovery. Therapy continued to be a source of strength, helping me navigate the complexities of grief and acceptance. One evening, as I sorted through paperwork, I came across a handwritten note from my therapist. "Keep moving forward," it read, "even when the path seems uncertain. You're stronger than you know." Her words resonated deeply. Yes, the fallout had been devastating, but it had also been a catalyst for growth and self-reflection. As I folded the note and placed it in my journal, I felt a sense of gratitude for the lessons learned and the resilience gained. The journey ahead remained daunting, but I faced it with renewed determination and a belief that each step forward, no matter how small, was a testament to my strength and resilience. As I endeavored to rebuild my life, unexpected revelations began to surface. One day, while sorting through old documents in our shared office, I stumbled upon a file labeled Confidential. Curiosity piqued, I opened it and was confronted with documents detailing financial irregularities and questionable transactions. Confusion and disbelief flooded my mind as I read through the contents. My husband, whom I had trusted implicitly, seemed to be entangled in activities that were far from ethical. The evidence pointed towards illegal dealings and financial mismanagement, painting a stark contrast to the image of stability he had projected. Determined to understand the truth, I spent countless hours researching and seeking advice from legal experts. Each piece of information uncovered painted a clearer picture of a side of my husband I had never known. His actions were not merely a response to my own mistakes, but were rooted in deeper, hidden motivations. Uncertainty weighed heavily on me as I grappled with the implications of this discovery. How could I have been so blind to his secrets? Questions swirled in my mind, and I found myself questioning the foundation upon which our marriage had been built. One evening, I confronted him cautiously, choosing my words with care. I found something, I began, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. Documents that raise serious questions about your business dealings. He looked at me, his expression guarded yet tinged with apprehension. Laura, he replied slowly, there are things you don't understand. I need to understand, I insisted, my tone firm. These documents suggest illegal activities. He hesitated before speaking, his gaze searching mine. I've been trying to protect us, he said finally, his voice tinged with regret. But it's complicated. Protect us from what? I pressed, my heart racing with a mix of anger and confusion. He sighed, his shoulders slumping slightly. Financial difficulties, he admitted reluctantly. I made some bad decisions trying to keep everything afloat. I listened, trying to process his words. The man I had known as a pillar of strength was now admitting vulnerability and mistakes. The revelation shattered my perception of our marriage, leaving me grappling with a profound sense of betrayal and uncertainty about our future. We need to address this, I said firmly, my resolve firming. Ignoring it won't make it go away. He nodded slowly, his expression a mix of resignation and relief. I know, he admitted quietly. I've been trying to find a way out of this mess. Together, we began to navigate the legal and financial challenges ahead. Conversations that were once avoided now became the focal point of our daily lives. We sought guidance from financial advisors and legal experts, taking tentative steps towards unraveling the complexities of his business dealings. Days turned into weeks as we faced the consequences of his actions together. There were moments of tension and frustration, but also glimpses of solidarity and shared determination to overcome the obstacles in our path. Through it all, I grappled with conflicting emotions, anger at his deception, but also empathy for the pressures that had driven him to make reckless decisions. Our conversations became more honest and raw, each discussion a step towards rebuilding trust and understanding. One afternoon, as we reviewed financial statements together, he reached out and touched my hand. I'm sorry, he said softly, his eyes reflecting genuine remorse. For everything. I looked at him, seeing the vulnerability beneath his facade of strength. We'll get through this, I replied, my voice steady with conviction. Together. And in that moment, amidst the turmoil and uncertainty, I felt a glimmer of hope for our future, a belief that honesty and resilience could pave the way towards redemption and a stronger foundation for our relationship. As I attempted to rebuild my life, the discovery of my husband's hidden secrets shook me to the core. It was a revelation that shattered the facade of our marriage, leaving me grappling with a sense of profound disillusionment and uncertainty about our future. With the weight of newfound knowledge pressing on me, I knew I couldn't ignore the truth any longer. Gathering my thoughts, I approached him one evening, choosing my words carefully to avoid escalating an already delicate situation. We need to talk, I began, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. I found some things that raise serious questions about your business dealings. He looked at me, his expression guarded yet tinged with a hint of resignation. Laura, he replied cautiously, there are things you don't understand. I need to understand, I insisted firmly. These documents suggest financial irregularities. He hesitated, visibly struggling with his response. "I've been trying to manage some challenges," he admitted reluctantly, "but I never wanted you to get caught up in this." His admission only fueled my determination to seek clarity. "I need honesty," I pressed, my voice tinged with frustration. "Hiding the truth won't solve anything." For a moment, silence hung between us as he weighed his words carefully. "I've been under immense pressure," he finally admitted, his voice tinged with regret. "I made decisions that I thought were necessary at the time." The conversation unfolded into a tense exchange of perspectives and explanations. Emotions ran high as we navigated the complexities of his financial predicament and the implications for our shared future. Despite the gravity of the situation, there were glimpses of vulnerability and mutual concern. Beneath the surface of our disagreements lay a shared desire to find a resolution that would not only address the immediate challenges, but also pave the way for a more transparent and resilient future. Days turned into weeks as we sought counsel from financial advisors and legal experts, working together to untangle the intricacies of his business affairs. Each step forward was fraught with uncertainty and occasional setbacks, but we persisted, driven by a mutual commitment to confront the truth and forge a path forward. Amidst the challenges, moments of reconciliation and understanding emerged. We began to communicate more openly, sharing our fears and aspirations for the future. The journey was far from easy, but with each conversation, we found a renewed sense of solidarity and determination to rebuild trust and stability. One evening, as we reviewed financial statements together, he reached out and took my hand. "I'm sorry," he said sincerely, his eyes reflecting a mixture of remorse and gratitude. "For everything." I looked at him, seeing the weight of his burdens and the sincerity in his words. "We'll find a way through this," I replied, my voice filled with conviction. "Together." In that moment, amidst the uncertainty and challenges, I felt a glimmer of hope for our future, a belief that transparency, resilience, and mutual support could ultimately lead us towards healing and a stronger foundation for our relationship.